Hello everyone and welcome to John Drinks, the channel where I, John, have a drink, and today we're carrying on with some samples of Bocan. This is the second of the creations. This is the one that I've not tried. If you haven't seen the video where I try the Creations 1, which is a stout and muscatel finish, there'll be a thing somewhere in the top, that corner? No, that corner. That corner? That corner. It'll be that corner. There'll be a thing. Anyway, cool. So this is number 2. This one's arguably less radical, I suppose, and in some ways it's more interesting, in some ways it's less. So again, it's 2 different cask maturations, Shochu, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong again, and Virgin Oak. Now the second one, not that unusual really. Virgin Oak gets used a bit, Deanston use it very successfully in a no age statement. I need to get around to the Virgin Oak at some point. I kind of owe them an apology because I was very dismissive of that whiskey when I first saw it. I was like, oh, well, here we go. Right, okay. Was very pleasantly surprised by it. So, Deanston, if you're watching this because you don't have anything better to do, then I apologise for my initial prejudice towards that whiskey. Shochu, that's a bit of an unusual one. It's, how to describe it? It's a distilled beverage. It's sort of similar to vodka in that it can be made from a lot of different things. Tend to make it from rice, or I think sweet potatoes, or grain. So there's lots of like different sources that you can distill this from. You can drink it neat, you can mix it with stuff, you can have it hot, you can have it cold. It normally comes around 20 to 35%, I think that's the ABV range. And it's not particularly popular over here because, I don't know, it's kind of a one-size-fits-all kind of a beverage by the looks of it. I don't think I've ever actually tried it. Or I've not knowingly tried it. I was going to say willingly tried it. I've not knowingly tried it, let's put it that way. So I don't have anything in regards to what it's going to actually do to the beverage. Now, if I thought ahead on these things, I'd have a little bit of shochu and be like, hey, here's what this tastes like, can we detect it? But what we found with the Bocan last time was that actually the finishes didn't stand out on their own, but rather they contributed to a new cohesive whole. So maybe it wouldn't be worth it. I don't know. But anyway, we're not here necessarily to talk about shochu, interesting though it is. Your more bizarre and radical cask finishes are coming out with, you know, clarifications. Tequila finishes are coming out, and mezcal finishes and stuff like that. It's all an exciting time for whiskey, isn't it? So in the glass, it's a lovely bright amber colour. The nose is quite unusual. It's there's like figs and grapefruit battling it out. There's kind of like a white chocolate, kind of like, you know, got like the cheap but surprisingly delicious stuff from Lidl. Is it the Lidl stuff I like, or is it the Aldi stuff I like? I'm bad at telling those two apart. Yeah, I'm a bad person, clearly, but kind of a honey nut cornflake kind of a thing going on. Something a little bit nutty, a little bit sweet on there. It's like a toasted rye bread kind of a nose on there as well. It's bright. There's a fair bit of like orange oil going on. Plenty more grapefruit. It's a little mentholy, a little like pepperminty almost. It does again have quite a spirituous aspect to it, but it's not diminishing the nose. And what's there is kind of a playground of bright, comforting, warming, sweet, sour, citrusy kind of flavour. It's a little all over the place, but it sort of works. So I'm fascinated to try what this is going to be like. Is it? Now I'm giving it a minute as well. There's like fresh raspberry in there, so it's quite fruity, but also confectionery led. That's an odd one, but I mean, nasally it works, but then I've recently smelled a raspberry white chocolate vodka from a well-known gin producer, and then to taste it, it was like being molested in the face. It was not good at all. But hopefully this will not be like that. Oh my word. There's white peach, sweet corn. A little bit of the mint does come through. Quite a, I'm going to say spearmint actually. It's got that kind of like cooling, sweet kind of mintiness to it. There's vanilla, there's like a cornbread kind of a thing going on. There's a baked vanilla mixed with passion fruit kind of a thing. There's it's woody, it's bright, it's citrusy, it's sweet. There's a lot of different contrasting things going on, but it all kind of works. It reminds me of kind of like the honey-led kind of sweetness that you get from Sauterne. Nowhere near as rich, but the sort of the honey sweetness, if that makes sense, like the flavour of the honey as opposed to kind of like the sugar from the honey. That's maybe a difficult one to... maybe I'm not making any sense, I don't know, but... just every time I try it, I get more kind of like peaches and apricots, kind of like pit fruits. Oh, stone fruits, I should say, pit fruits. It's wonderful, fresh, bright and juicy. And then as it develops, there's more kind of like vanilla, corn, honey. I'm going to stick with honey. I'm going to say honey. So yeah, there's a fair bit of like a bit of a story with that one. I'm going to stick a fair bit of water in. Give that a swooshy swooshy. There are some people that, you know, hate the fact that people swoosh whiskies. There's no rules. Fuck it. A lot of the fruit components have been amplified now, so the grapefruit, the white grape, the peaches are all in there, and they've kind of like come to the forefront. The chocolatey, honey, corn-led kind of aspects of it have kind of been subdued, and you've got a much brighter, fruitier nose on it. The spirituousness of it has gone away. There's almost like a wonderful kind of bright white wine aspect to it. There's a ever so slightly sulphurous note. Ever so slightly. But it is there, and it is clashing a little bit with the fruits. But not enough to make it unappealing. But just so you know, it's there. Okay, let's try it with water. Let's see what we've got to work with here. Oh wow, I recognise that flavour. That's mandarins in syrup. That's like tinned mandarin segments in syrup. Still a fair bit of peach and apricot, a little bit of plum. There is a bird's custard kind of a thing going on with that as well. And I specifically mentioned birds because there's bird's custard and then there's custard. You know, they are miles away from each other. I was raised on bird's custard. I'm into that stuff. Before you think I'm turning my nose up at that, I ain't. That was the best part of desserts. Like, you could take everything else that it was covering and I'd still be well on my way, to be honest. Love the stuff. Yeah, but there is that kind of like yellow cornstarch and water kind of a thing going on. The brightness is maintained. There's plenty of like orange, citrusy kind of components to that. There's still a fair bit of grapefruit. There's still a fair bit of peach. I can't tell if I'm repeating myself, really. I'm pretty sure I am at this point. It's the mint tones, or the mint notes, I suppose. I'm not doing well, am I? The mint notes, not really there anymore. It's a wonderful, juicy, fruity kind of a whiskey. By contrast to the first creations, which are more of a kind of like a rich, desserty, chocolatey kind of a thing, this is much more kind of like your peaches and cream, your tinned mandarins, your citrus fruit, your grapefruit of a morning. So that kind of a bright, citrusy, fruity, rich, bright kind of a flavour. I will also say, it's bloody lovely. I mean, I didn't have any trouble getting through that. Maybe that says more about the kind of week I've been having rather than anything else, but it's a delightful whiskey. Is it to my personal tastes? I don't think it kind of like hits my Venn diagram personally. I tend to go with more kind of like your richer, chocolatier kind of whiskies. I'm a fan of those, or failing that, just, you know, lay the peat on me and I will be a happy boy. However, We're perfectly happy to have that again. It's very pronounced in what it wants to do, and it's successful in it, because all the tasting notes that I've given you, that's an honest opinion in what I'm getting. Somebody else might come along and be like, you're insane, it doesn't taste anything like that, and that's fine. It's fine. You're just wrong. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But yeah, that was a lovely whiskey. I'm glad that I've had a chance to look at the Bocans. I've actually had these on my shelf for a good long while. And I've been meaning to get around to them. Bocan actually reached out a little while. I'd say they reached out. They were just, kind of doing their marketing job. And they were like, hey, if you ever want to, learn a bit more about this, let us know. And I was going to reach out and be like, oh, maybe I could do a tasting with them. And then 6 months passed, and I was like, I better just get them done rather than anything else. So maybe at some point I will do something like that. But for the time being, I was like, they're just sitting there gathering dust, and I want to do them. So here we are. I have done them now. Very different from sort of Tomatin's core. I definitely prefer these over Tomatin's standard offering, but then not every whiskey is for everyone. Tomatin's one of those ones that's like weirdly peripheral with me. I'm not writing them off. They just don't catch my eye in the same way that some other whiskies do. But these have gone a long way to kind of showing me what some of their output can be like. I'm a big fan of these. But that'll be it for the Bocans. Let me know down below, what do you think of Tomatin's output? Do you think these are good examples of what they do? Do you think they're different enough? Do you think they're leaning enough into the experimental side of things? Are there any other cask finishes you think would make an interesting combination? Let me know these things down below. Thumb this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you like incoherent nonsense. And do join me next time, where I'll be drinking something else.